Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, I'm going to do an update to a very popular video that I did over the weekend, which was titled, My Effing Niece Demands That I Pay for Her Gender Studies Degree. And this was a video, guys, that the amount of comments on it was truly amazing. I think at this point when I checked it last, had 1,000. And this was all about a guy, quick recap here, who done very well for himself, worked very hard, lived cheap, made good investments, and as a reward, as a thing to do for his family, this guy, he's giving back by financing his children and nieces and nephews' college education under the condition that they major in something actually worthwhile, not some ridiculous idealistic bullshit degree that typical 18-year-olds may have, something that could lead to a good profession, like one of his kids is on the way to becoming a doctor, another one a dentist, another one a lawyer, stuff like that. And all the kids agreed to all this, except for one child, the youngest child of his sister, he nicknamed Clara in the story. And he discovered at a family get-together after a few years not seeing each other that his niece was a absolute raging effeminist, okay? And she, no exaggeration, demanded that he pay for her gender studies degree overseas in Copenhagen. And not just that, but also finance her travel, giving her lodging and allowance, all that the other kids did not get. And when he was just baffled by this, he was taken back by this because he never saw it coming, it sounded like, when he described the story. And she started throwing all these buzzwords at him, like patriarchy and all that. And if he doesn't go along with this, and he's this, and this, stupid effing bullshit that was put in her head, right? It's a real shame. And she acted with complete disrespect towards this guy. And now this guy is asking me in the video and asking the community, how should he handle this? Should he pay for it for anyway, amongst many other things? And I responded to him, as well as all of you guys, and I thank you for that he'd be out of his damn mind to do that. Because if he would go along and finance her on this degree, then it would show that, number one, her behavior was okay. She was acting like a total disrespectful a-hole to him. That would show that her behavior was okay, and she would get worse and be more entitled, more disrespectful. And also, it would show that she got special treatment because she could go pursue a worthless thing like gender studies. Meanwhile, the other kids, he laid down the law and said, no, if you want my financing for college, you're going to major in something serious. So he'd lose respect of all the kids, the family, and all that. So I told him, no, you have to cut her off. After showing that disrespect, you give her nothing at all, especially towards a stupid ass degree like that. And you got to confront her and pretty much tell her, no, you're not getting a dime out of me, and here's why. And by doing that, you will get the respect of your family and all that, because it was just the way she behaved, and you guys saw the video, was just unbelievable. But an example of this generation that was spoiled and entitled. And she's also the youngest, I might add, so obviously, that stereotype. But anyhow, guys, he is going to provide an update as to everything that happened afterwards. Some background information on some questions some people had, as well as the confrontation with his niece and how that all went down. So I think you guys will find this very entertaining, how this thing closes out. So he starts off, he says, greetings again, SSM. Thank you for sharing my story. I know that I did not accumulate many views, but the interactions given to me by your audience was very overwhelming right now. I've read over 700 plus comments, and I'm thankful for everyone who's shown support and given me advice. Well, brother, I just checked before I filmed this video, and that has a hair under 1,000 comments and like 33,000 views, so your video was quite popular. A lot of guys are very interested to see how this whole thing plays out. He says, I must apologize as I seem to make errors when writing to an email to you. Again, I'm not very good at understanding slang or the multiple uses of English words. An example is when I said that my son and nephew found my situation funny. What I meant to say was that they found the situation strange or weird, and they did not actually go to the other room just to drink or laugh. He's referring to when they were at the dinner table and his niece went off on her effeminist rant about this and this. It sounded like they thought it was funny, like humorous. No, they just thought it was strange that she was acting that way. Because English is not his first language, guys. He says, I will try my best to avoid any further misunderstandings. I decided to not pay for Clara's tuition and go low contact with her for the foreseeable future. Yes, good for you, brother. That little a-hole deserves nothing. It hurts as I treat her like my daughter for all these years, but I will not tolerate the disrespect that she's shown me. Thank you for letting me see that. I will explain in depth about what happened. But before sharing my update with you, let me answer some questions and get some clarifications out of the way. I had questions, and this guy had a lot of questions too. He says, number one, Clara and Marcus both have different fathers. My sister left Marcus's father to be with Clara's father. It was a messy divorce, and unfortunately, Clara's father had no intention of raising her and disappeared just 2 weeks after her birth. This is why I love Clara like a daughter, and she has no other father figure except for me. Marcus, on the other hand, regularly sees his father. How interesting that this girl who's become this raging effeminist, her daddy took off and left 2 weeks after she's born, and she's never seen him since. So you can see where this resentment towards men and the patriarchy can come from. I'm sure somebody probably had put all this shit in her head, found out about that, and used that to manipulate her to have all these views and fan the flames, if you will. No surprise there. And I said in the previous video that her mother, Clara's mother, this guy's sister, definitely aided in her behavior because she raised her this way. And I'm willing to bet you that her mother probably felt bad, felt guilty that this girl didn't have a father growing up. So she probably overcompensated, spoiled her, and this is what you got. He says, number two, none of my nieces, nephews, or children are EU students who gain free tuition around colleges in Europe, as we reside in a country that is not a part of the EU. That is not a problem, as I have connections and family in Spain. He says, Julie and Marcus currently are studying there. In the last video, he gave a description and breakdown of all his kids and nieces and nephews and the profession they wanted to pursue, and then he laid down the law, and now the profession they are pursuing after they learned do something smart and you get full financing for college. Do something stupid, you're not getting a dime. He says, Julie and Marcus are currently studying there where colleges and tuitions are cheaper, so I have no problem sending them there for their studies, or anywhere else in the world for that matter. The University of Copenhagen might seem a tad more expensive, but if Clara had been willing to choose a good course or degree, then I would agree to pay for her tuition there, but not her boarding, travel expenses, or allowance. Again, this Clara girl, Denise, wanted not just the tuition paid for some bullshit degree, but she also wanted, like he said, travel, allowance, boarding, all that stuff, while the other kids didn't get that. Again, because she's the youngest, she's spoiled, she's entitled, poster child of this generation. Number three, my children, nieces, and nephews all have jobs except for Clara. There you go. Spoiled brat mom doesn't think she has to work. All kids should have jobs by the time they're the legal age to do so. Here in the United States, it's usually 16. All kids should have a part-time job. Not because they're not going to make a lot of money, but it teaches them responsibility. It teaches them to balance their school and their family time, but also with a job to get used to that, because that's life. You balance your career and earning money, earning a living with your family life and all that. It teaches them to be a little bit familiar with money and balancing things, paying for some bills. You know, typically when kids turn 16, at least back in my day, you got your license and you got your job, and that job paid for some or all of your gas and your insurance and saving up for school. That's why it's so important kids get jobs in high school and college. A lot of parents think it's a bad idea because they want the kids to have fun. They're only kids once and some bullshit like that. No. Right here. See where that attitude comes from. Demanding, entitled. Anyway, he says, number four, has Clara always been like this? No, this time is the first time I've ever seen her act this way towards me. I've been able to see Clara for about a year and a half, so it's probably during that time that she had changed. Has her appearance changed? Listen to this. Her hair is cut short, almost like a military cut, with the middle being long and is a shade of bright pink and red, I believe. We'll talk about a stereotype. Obviously, he had long, pretty hair before, but now it's cut military length with some red and pink in the freaking middle here. Like a Mr. T, except for not the mohawk there. What a stereotype. Next one. My wife had passed away when the children were still young, so yes, it was only me, my children, my two sisters, and their children present during the family dinner. Number six. I only talk about my sister's children because my eldest sister lives in Austin, Texas, with her family, and we only see her every 5 years. And number six. No, I've never hit Clara. I have no intention of doing so. Her mother, on the other hand, might have disciplined her that way. I believe I joked around saying Clara needs a good slap in the face. And obviously, dude, I don't want you hitting your niece and going to jail or anything like that, because that's probably what happened, given the way she was acting. But let me tell you, in my opinion, I don't think her mother disciplined her enough growing up, because if there's a time she needs a good parental crack, it's right now. Now, on to the updates. So get your popcorn, guys, get your beer, because this is going to be good. He says, so 2 days after posting your video, I decided to confront Clara. But as it turns out, my nieces and nephew and children had already confronted her about it. Good for them. They saw the disrespect she was showing to you, and they're going to let her have it. Good family. I was going to ask Julia to accompany me to talk to Clara, but apparently Raul and Marcus had gathered up her and their cousins and went to have an intervention with Clara the day after. Now pay attention, he says intervention. He says here, it did not go well. Clara accused them of invading her safe space, and that she was right to ask me for a college education just as they did. Invading her safe space? This generation and their frickin' terms. An intervention, a discussion, a chat, and in her mind, you're invading my safe space, therefore you shouldn't be talking to me. What a load of crap. This fucking generation. I'm doing my part to help change and switch the pendulum over to some old-fashioned values, but I can only do so much in this channel. I'm hoping that you guys will, through your families and all that, straighten these younger a-holes out and have things go back to the old ways, because this generation, my God. Anyhow, he says, Clara would not hear any of their reasons. She just kept reiterating that gender studies was just as important as being a doctor or a lawyer, and even called Grace's job, who's a dentist, unimportant and low-paying. A dentist is an unimportant and low-paying job in her opinion. Who the heck? This girl has been chugging the freaking effing Kool-Aid for 1.5 years. Who put this shit in her head? After hearing the story from Julia, I had a chat with all of them except for Clara, and they were pleading with me to cut Clara off financially. Good. I'm glad they're all on the same page. It'd be another thing if they said no, but I had a feeling they would. At that point, I knew that I had to be firm with my decision and not only refuse to pay for her tuition, but also go low to no contact with Clara afterwards. You're damn right. I told Maria and Grace's mother about my decision, and even though she loves Clara, she agreed it would be for the best. Then me and her went to talk to Clara and her mother just yesterday. The talk was messy. Clara started the usual nonsense about her degree being more important in today's time than any other degree, and tried to list down many jobs that she could get if she finished that course. The many jobs that she's going to get from a gender studies degree, which again in her mind is better than being an attorney, a doctor, a dentist. Talk about brainwashing. She out of her damn mind. Now watch here, guys, the different tactics she's going to take, and she's going to see she doesn't get her way. What he's going to describe in a moment is going to be what many of you guys may have dealt with in disagreements and arguments, fights you've had with girlfriends, fiancés, and wives when they don't get their way, and they know they've lost. He says, when that didn't work, she tried to accuse her brother and cousins of manipulating me into giving them her share of the money. He says, in parentheses, no one has a share of any money. My deal was just to pay the tuition fee of their college, nothing more, nothing less. She doesn't think in her little tiny pea-brain mind that she's not getting what she wants because he's sticking to his principles that you're going to major in something worthwhile. And guess what? You are a total disrespectful little asshole to me in front of the whole family, and you're getting cut off. That didn't compute. And her teeny tiny little piece of crap CPU running her effing brain there. It says, finally when Claire realized I wasn't going to budge, she started to cry and tried to change her course into journalism or some other course, but I was firm in saying that she had disrespected me and that she was not going to have a free college education like her cousins and brother. Yes, good for you, bro. See, guys, when all else failed, the crocodile tears come out. How many of you guys have been in that situation where confrontations arise, she's yelling one moment, the next minute she's trying to reason and rationalize, and if all else fails, the bawling the eyes out. And that's usually where the guy caves. Well, not our brother here. She started wailing and screaming, and I tried telling her that her friends were all, and she tried telling me that all her friends were going to the University of Copenhagen and that she needed to attend as well, or else she'd be looked down upon. So she's going to, yeah, I'm really going to finance you going to this school to major in this bullshit degree that this subject has turned you into just this poisonous piece of crap. And so you can go there and hang out with those same people and become even more angry, more effed up, more disrespectful, more entitled. Yeah, good idea. Be like, bitch, I don't give a shit about your friends or what they'll look down upon you. You're going to get your act together. He says her mother had tried to plead with me to give Clara another chance, so I made a bargain with her. Clara must take on student loans or work in order to go to college, and after she graduates college, depending on her attitude, I will pay a maximum of 25% of her loans, but that is it. There you go. She has to pay for it, just like I said in the other video. If she's so empowered, if she's so high and mighty and all that, she can do anything a man can do and blah, 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 and independent, then she can take out her own loans and finance this degree. And she'll find out years to come, all the money she's taken out for loans and all that to finance this, she's not going to get a job that's going to come close to taking care of the expenses. And I know they're obviously in Europe, so things are different, but still, she's going to have some expenses, as he's pointing out here. But notice he said that her mother tried to plead with him to pay for her whole thing. Again, this is the same mother that raised her, and at the end of the day, a child, in my opinion, a child's behavior really does reflect the family and the parents, okay? Now, there are some situations that you can have good families and the kid's screwed up, okay? So I definitely can take that into consideration here. But there's also the point when a kid becomes an adult, in spite of how they were raised, their actions are their own. They're not going to just, well, if my parents raised me this way, it's their fault, not mine. Bullshit. You're responsible for your own actions, but your parents do have some part in it. So I'm convinced that Clara's mom, feeling guilty that there was no father there, probably let her get away with a bunch of bullshit when she was younger, hence the attitude of entitlement. And here we go. Clara's mother saw flat out how disrespectful she was, but she's not paying attention to that. She's seeing her daughter crying and wailing and all that shit, and the daughter probably wore her down. But this guy, okay, you'll get 25% covered, but you got to pay for it yourself and major in something in no bullshit and change the attitude. Now, we all know darn well a girl could fake it for 4 years and all sunshine and rainbows to Uncle such and such here and then get the money and then turn into her a-hole self. But regardless, now I wouldn't give her shit, to be honest with you, but you're like, okay, good luck, go major in something and you can take care of all the payments, but okay. I left immediately after that, as I did not feel comfortable being in that situation anymore. It hurts to see them like that, but I am now firm in my decision. I will now spend the rest of my week with my children and maybe with my nieces and nephews before they go back to their college and jobs. Again, thank you, SSM, for giving me advice on how to handle the situation and your viewers as well. Well, brother, you're welcome, and I'm really glad you shared the story and an update so quickly. You know, a lot of us were wondering, but let me just say these things. I'll wrap up the video here. Good job. And you know what? I know that wasn't easy. Okay, a lot of people may think, well, it's easy, and easy. It was easy to know what to do. Yeah, there's easy in here, and there's easy emotionally. So I'm sure it wasn't easy because, again, you said this girl didn't have a father, so she was like a daughter to you all these years. You didn't see her for a year and a half, and then you see her, and all of a sudden she's got her freaking butch military haircut with her colored hair, and she's become a total psycho, totally different person. So I get that wasn't easy. And you probably when she was crying and bawling her eyes out, you were picturing the cute little 6-year-old that was bouncing on your knee. But you did what you had to do. Now there's a chance now that she may actually learn a valuable lesson, that you don't act disrespectful and rude and not entitled to an elder, let alone you, that's giving her a big handout. But in her mind, an example this generation, and in the a-hole she hangs out with, she can do all that and still get something out of it. But no, she learned a hard lesson, and I hope that this will make her grow the hell up and realize that you can't treat people that way, elders and all that. So good for you. And bro, by you doing that and standing your ground, the respect you got from your family, your children, and your nieces and nephews, I guarantee went through the roof, because you showed them that you're not going to cave, that your word is final, because you are a family patriarch, and that's a good thing. Your word is final, and you're not going to budge for anyone. And you gave the message clear to the family: don't mess with Uncle such and such, because you disrespect him, you get cut off. End of story. And Clara learned, and her mother learned, and the rest of them learned. But let me just say this: Mark my words, brother. Clara and her mom are going to come back to you at least one more time trying to get you to change your mind. It's going to happen because that's just how they operate. They're going to come at you from a different angle, try to pull the emotional string, something to get you to change your mind or budge on what you said. And my advice to you, aside from obviously don't change your mind, is the second they come to you and to obviously try to get you to change your mind, I cut them off right then and there and say, don't even start. My word is final. You got my offer. She goes to school, pays for her school completely, and after majoring in something that's not bullshit and has an attitude adjustment and grows up, then I'll cover 25% of it. That's it. Cut them off right there. Don't listen to their pleas, because it needs to be known that your no is final. When you say something, that's it. There's no changing your mind. You're standing your ground, okay? Because if you listen to them, they're thinking, oh, well, he's listening, so I can keep coming at him and trying to get him to change his mind, and they will. Right down there and say, I'm going to stop you right there. What I said the other day, that stands. That's it. And if you keep bugging me, if you bug me about it, you're not getting anything, not even 25%. And I guarantee that'll shut them up and they'll walk away. You got to stand your ground and mean it. But they will come back to you, guaranteed, bro. You can email me whenever it happens, because I'm telling you now it's going to happen. You got to stand firm. But good for you. And I really do hope by you doing this, it will show her that she can't behave in such a way and she'll grow the hell up. I hope. But she needs to stop hanging out with these fucking people that has obviously put this shit in her head. Now, hopefully, because she's not going to go off to the University of Copenhagen and major in gender bullshit studies, hopefully that won't happen. We'll see. But there's also a small chance, bro, is that she could end up become even worse. That's a possibility. But that's not on you, because that's her life as an adult. So we'll see. I hope not. I hope she grows the hell up and looks back on this in years to come and says, you know what? That was the best thing he ever could have done for me. I really do hope that. So, but all right, man, that is a great story. I appreciate you sharing it. Believe me, all the brothers out there will enjoy that, and you will probably get 500 comments on this within 24 hours when I publish it. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let this guy know what you think about this. He definitely wants to hear the feedback. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.